Good morning and welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning into today's edition of Way to Be at Home. Today, we are kicking off a new series called What's Next? And before we dive too much into that, I'm going to take a second just to introduce myself and our guests here. For those of you who haven't recognized my face yet, my name is Morgan Cox. I am the Next Generation Scholars Coordinator in Caroline County. And today, our guests are Mr. Brad Pluchek with Caroline Career and Technology Center and Mr. Mike Pannoni with Aircon Engineering. So like I mentioned, today's series called What's Next? It's a brand new series that we're kicking off, and it's all designed to help students think about what their options are after high school. And this is for students who may not think about taking the college route. There are other options out there. So today we are talking all about trade school. We're going to talk about how to go to trade school, what trade school even is, scholarship opportunities, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about what it's like to actually have a career in the trades field. But before we dive into much, I'm going to turn it over to our guests to have them introduce themselves. So, Brad, if you'd like to take a moment, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Brad Pluchek. I'm a school counselor at the Caroline Career and Technology Center in Caroline County. We have several CTE programs that we offer the students of Caroline County Public Schools.
All right, and Mike, your turn.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Pannoni. I'm a commercial sales manager for Aircon Engineering in Cumberland, Maryland. We distribute heating and air conditioning products throughout Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Virginia. We have 2 stores, one in Cumberland and one in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. So thank you both for being here this morning. And we have both of these guests, which is super exciting, to talk a little bit about both ends of the spectrum about trades. So about the process of going to trade school and in pursuing a career in the trades field and what it's actually like to have a career in the trades field. So before we get in too deep, let's just talk about the basics. What trade school even is. So Brad, I'm going to start with you. What is trade school and what is the difference between a formal college education and attending trade school?
Okay. Specifically, like the trade schools deal with a certain skill that you're trying to get certified in or some sort of certification or certificate training. And it differs from the normal college in that the traditional college, when we think of it, is a lot of times 4-year, and it has maybe like a general curriculum at the beginning where almost everybody's in the same sort of classes, and then as you go through your 4 years, you split up into the specific things you want to major in. Where a trade school would, you still have some general classes, but you're really going to get into specific training for what you want to do. It also traditionally is shorter, it's cheaper, and when we think of trade school, it's not necessarily a school that's only trades. Like I think of Lincoln Tech and Columbia. I was trying to think of schools in the state of Maryland. So that's a school where it really is a trade school. It's where you're going to go for specific trades. But you can go to your local junior college, like Hagerstown Community College or Chesapeake College or any of the other ones across the state, and they have trade programs within their community college. Some have more than others. Some have specific ones. If one's not offered in your local community college, you can arrange to pay in-county tuition to go to another county's community college because the program you want isn't offered there. So there's, what we think of a trade school where it's specific for the trades, or you can go to a school that has both traditional academic programs and trades.
Awesome. And you mentioned that the financial cost is different. So how does it compare to a traditional 4-year college?
I tried to look a few things up on that. A lot of the trade-specific schools are going to be they estimated $10,000 to $30,000, where a 4-year school, $200,000 is probably ballpark. And the loan you come out with is going to be 3 to 4 times as high for most students out of a 4-year school than what we'd call a trade school or a certification program.
Sure. And because it's still a school, can students receive financial assistance for attending trade school?
Yeah, they can do the FAFSA just like they would for traditional college. There is some federal monies. They can get, sometimes they can get state aid. They're always going to be able to get need-based aid depending on what their family income is. But they can also get merit money depending on how well they did as a student, which for some is great. But sometimes maybe high school wasn't for you because you just wanted to do a certain trade that, you know, that's all you've ever been interested in. So you can also get trade specific scholarships. So they might give you money to do HVAC or auto mechanics. And there's lots of different funding sources, federally, state. And then the one we see a lot in Caroline County is local, because we have benefactors locally that help some of our students if they go into the trades. So you just have to work with your counselor and also the school you want to go to and find out what money is available, because it's a shame when people pay money that they didn't need to, they just didn't know.
Absolutely. And that goes back to a session we actually had last Friday with the Maryland Higher Education Commission. And that's just the overall message we had from that was just to continue to apply to everything you possibly can, because there is money out there that can potentially help you. Now, in terms of applying, does the application process look different for trade school than it would for a traditional four-year college?
In some ways, it might be a little bit different, but some colleges have it right on the same website or the same page, and all you do is maybe indicate that you want to go into a different program. There's also two different sides to trade. There's credit and non-credit. So just locally, like a school like Chesapeake would have credit programs in maybe computer-aided drafting and design, nursing, things like that. So you would do that, the credit application for those programs. But let's say you wanted to get your CDLs, you wanted to be a truck driver, or you wanted to do, phlebotomy, you wanted to, take blood, right? Or some other medical one that's not nursing. That might be the non-credit side, and the application might be different. So you just need to be sure, whatever school you want to apply to, that you're letting them know what specific program you want to be in. And then once you figure out what program you want to do, you can research how to apply for it and how to get money for it.
Awesome. And I know that there are several trade schools across the state that students can definitely research if they're interested in it. Also, again, look at your local community colleges, because they also have, like we just said, credit and non-credit programs where students can look at getting certifications for whatever trade that you're interested in. I'm going to switch to the questions over to you, Mike. With the first one being, what kind of skills do you need to work in the trades field?
It always falls back to the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Everything's based on that. Nowadays in the trades, computer skills, social skills, being able to hold a conversation, work well with others. It really comes down to those things. I mean, if you're willing to put the time in, if you have a passion for, whatever field you're getting into, you can make it work. But it really falls down to the basics.
Awesome. And I feel like that's across the board. You almost need all those skills to do just about anything. So keeping all of those in tune are very important. What are some benefits of working in the trades field that you have found?
You have a pretty consistent income. There's always work out there, not only from a dollar standpoint, but everything that you're consistently learning. The trades are constantly changing. Technology's changing. Where 20 or 30 years ago, you didn't really have to have a background in anything computer-wise. Now, everybody has that. homes are becoming smarter, workplaces are becoming smarter. It takes more skill to be able to work with whether it's the electrical trade, mechanical, plumbing, HVAC, carpentry. Everything is becoming more skill based, and there's more online training. It's just becoming, not that it's a lot easier, but it's becoming a lot easier to get into.
Sure. Absolutely. And I know that could be encouraging for people as well, and students listening, because if you want to have a career where things are constantly changing, trades definitely might be for you, because there will always be things that we'll have to adjust to. Why did you decide to pursue a career in trades? What do you like about what you do?
I to be perfectly honest, I got sort of lucky. I needed a job. I hadn't been married very long, and our company that I work for today, my uncle worked for our company, and he knew that I was looking for a job, and I was sort of able to slide in at the bottom level. I worked in the warehouse. I worked as a delivery driver, delivering equipment, all across the tri-state region, and was able to work my way up into a service position here, where I would go out and do service work with contractors. And I was able to go to different training schools, different factory-based and factory-provided training for heating and air conditioning. And, after about 4 or 5 years of that, was able to work into a sales position. So I've sort of been everywhere in our industry with our business, from the basically walking in the door, not knowing anything, to, working on commercial projects all over the tri-state region, all over our territory. So it's been one of the benefits in working in any trade job is that from a day-to-day basis, you never know where you're going to be or what you're going to be doing. I've been able to go to many job sites that where government installations where nobody gets to go, historical buildings where nobody gets to go in the basement and see what makes this place tick. 200-year-old buildings where presidents were, or where dignitaries were. And so from one day to the next, you just never know what's going to pop up. And it's been very exciting and very rewarding. You get to work with some real interesting personalities of people out there, people that are true master craftsmen in whatever field they're in, whether it's plumbing or heating and air conditioning. You wouldn't think that, but there are some skilled people out there that those they're getting older, and they need a lot of people to step in. I just read this morning where the heating and air conditioning industry, they're going to need 25% more people than they have right now. The jobs out there are in the thousands, so, and it's a good field. Any of the trades are, whether you want to be a carpenter, a plumber, or electrician, they're good paying jobs. They're going to stay around. There's a great need for them, and it's a good opportunity for somebody to step into, building a real future for themselves.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's great job security too, because those trades are careers that we will always need, and they may change over the years, which actually kind of goes into my next question, but they're a good skill set to have and to help provide an income and a lifestyle for yourself. Now, this question is going to be for both of you, because I'm very interested to hear your perspective. How has the attention on trade schools changed over the years? Are more students opting to gain certifications over college degrees? Brad, we'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's been a shift. For so long it was basically go to a 4-year school, and then what we were finding is maybe students got stuck in that first year, what we call remedial sometimes. And you can't go on to the credit classes until you finish these remedial classes. So you might have some hands-on learners that would really thrive in a tech type program, but they are stuck taking classes that are a whole lot like what they took in high school. And so maybe they lose interest or they run out of money and now they have debt and they don't have any certification or AA degree or bachelor's degree. So what we started seeing was more specific to each kid, like what is it that you really want to do? And if it fits more of a trade path, then I guess we're getting the stigma removed of, oh, you're going to, you're not going to go to a 4-year school. So I'm glad that that's happened. I see a lot, people can go in, get certified and get earning right away with a lot less debt. And then the job opportunities are so much more. A traditional 4-year degree has less than one job for every person who gets a degree, where, a trade, a special, like in HVAC or some specific program has multiple job offerings for every, certification. So now I'm not saying 4-year school is better or trade school is better, but the idea of whatever it fits the student makes a lot more sense instead of trying to pigeonhole everyone into this one route. I think we're a lot smarter about how we advise kids, students, throughout high school and younger, because everybody wants to be a hands-on person. When you go to kindergarten career day, they all want to do, they want to be farmers and carpenters, and somewhere along the way, maybe we don't advise them enough, and then they just kind of do something because all their friends are, instead of doing what they really want to do and what their dream was.
Sure, absolutely. And I love how that's changed. Mike, what about you?
I agree with that. If we look at the state of Maryland, normally in whatever trade you're in 3 to 4 years, you can be through an apprenticeship program, working for a contractor, and be able to test into your journeyman license. At that, you've pretty much written your own ticket. You can go to work anywhere. A lot of your states, the licensing is reciprocal. Some of them you still have to take another test to get into their licensing program. But once you've done that, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, sheet metal, steam fitting, you can go to work anywhere. If you want to go to work in California, you can go out there and find a job. If you want to go to work in Jamaica or the Bahamas, I know people that have done that. They've worked, most of the year in Maryland here, and in the winter, go to another country and work. And it happens, and people can do that. There's not a lot of fields where you have that flexibility and the ability to really control your own life and what you want to do. And I would suggest that anybody that's interested, either look into a trade school. You can go to your local union hall, the plumbers hall, or the sheet metal workers hall. They are always looking for people. I know right now in Cumberland, all of the union halls are looking for people. They always have apprenticeship programs going on, and they are good paying jobs with good benefits for young people that may just not, college might not be for them. College really, I went to college for a couple of years, and it really wasn't for me. And one day my father had a talk with me and said, I'm really not sure college is for you. And he was right. And I was able to go into the trade and make a career for myself. And that was probably one of the best. It was, at the time, it seemed like a bad move, but it really ended up being the best move I could have probably ever done. And, I think anybody that's interested needs to take advantage of that and, go for it, because it's a great lifestyle, and there's always going to be a need for people that have the skills to be in the trades.
That's great. I love both of your insight on that. I have one final question, and Mike, it's going to be for you. What can students do now to prepare for their futures in a career in trades?
Well, a lot of kids don't realize it, but going to school is really just like having a job. You have to show up for school. You have to show up on time. If you have a job now, you may be working at a grocery store or a convenience store or doing lawn work. Just know that basically you're preparing for your next role. You need to work as hard as you can and be committed to whatever you're doing, because the next job that you apply for, or you go, try to get into a trade school or get into a union, they're going to check your references. They're going to call back the people that you used to work for. And if that guy is, if you did a good job, they're going to give you a good reference, and they're going to say, hey, you need to hire this kid because, he's going to make you a good employee. You have to remember at some point, whether you're in trade school or you're out working, you might have to take a drug test. You might have to have a background check. Somebody's going to look at your driving record, because they're not going to want to put you in one of their vehicles out running around the roads if you've got a bunch of parking tickets or speeding tickets or a DUI, because you're representing whatever company you're working for. So they want qualified people that they can count on. So little mistakes or little things you don't think about while you're in high school or while you're going to college can really affect you down the road. So just remember, you're always sort of looking for your next job. Well, what you do today could really affect that. So try to keep things going in the right direction.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you guys both so much for being here today. I know that you guys shared a great information with our students and families listening. Tune in tomorrow for our Courses Matter, Choices Matter with Annalisa Sawyers at 11 here on MBRT's Facebook page. And on behalf of everyone at MBRT, I'm Morgan Cox, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.